Hello Year 5 and welcome to Maths. Do you have your pencil and paper ready? Are you somewhere quiet where you can concentrate? Fantastic. So I would like you now to continue with your do now. Pause the video and then when you're ready, unpause for the answers. So how did you do? Let's take a look. Number 1 is 0.07 or 7%. Number 2, 3/4 as a percentage is 75, and that's something that you really do need to know. Number 3, thousandths is 1. Number 4, the ones is 5. Number 5 is 48. And number 6 is 1,728. How did you do? Fantastic. Okay, so today we are going to solve percentage word problems. Now, it's really important that we tie together all of the work that we've done over the past few weeks to help us answer some of these questions. So, it's really important to read the question carefully. So the first thing that you should be doing is looking at any key vocabulary to help you understand what you need to do to answer the question fully. As I said, we're going to be tying in all of our fraction and percentage knowledge to help us answer these questions. So try and think back to those lessons if you can. We're going to review now some methods that we've used over the past few weeks that are going to help us today. So this one first, 10% of 48. Now, number 1, I'm going to place the decimal after the ones. So I'm going to write 48 here and here are my ones. I'm going to place the decimal there and then I'm going to put a 0 in the tenths. I'm now going to drop my decimal. And because I'm dividing, I need to move each digit one place value to the right, which means that our number is going to get smaller. So I'm going to move them in this direction, 8, and then I'm going to drop this one, 4, 1 here, and I can place the 0 at the end. Number 4 is place the holder 0 in ones if needed, but we already have a digit in the ones. Now we don't need a 0 at the end if there isn't another number there, so I can write it as 4.8 or 4.80. Okay, and this shows that this number is 10 times smaller than 48. So 10% of 48 is 4.8. Next, now when we're trying to find the number, 10% of equals 8. This is nice and simple. Number 1, we multiply the end answer by 10. So 8 multiplied by 10 equals 80. Now I need to check that it makes sense. So this number at the end, I know is going to be smaller than this answer. Is it? Yes, it is. 8 is smaller than 80, so I know that that's fine. Next, 70% of equals 35. Again, I know that 70% of this number is 35, so the number that I'm finding needs to be greater than 35. So let's take a look at our steps to success. Number 1, divide the percentage by 10. So I've got 70% divided by 10. I can use my 10 times tables, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So that's 7. I'm now going to divide the end answer, which is this number, 35. I'm going to change pens. 35 divided by the answer in step 1. So my answer in step 1 was 7. So I'm going to use my 7 times tables and I'm going to count up to 35. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. So my answer is 5. Great. Now, the next step, I'm going to multiply the answer in step 2. So the answer in step 2 was 5. And I'm going to multiply that by 10. So 5 times 10 equals 50. Great. And now I'm going to check that that makes sense. So I'm going to write 50 there. Is 50 greater than the answer at the end, 35? Yes, it is. So I know that that answer is correct. Now I'm going to find 5% of 180. So remember, I'm looking to find 10% of this quantity first. So I have 180. If I'm looking for 10%, then I'm dividing it into 10 equal parts. Now I've got my sneaky cheat way where I can cancel the zeros because each digit has a 0 at the end, and that becomes 18 divided by 1, 18. So that's nice and easy. I know that 10% of 180 is 18. Great. Now I'm going to look at step 2. I'm going to divide the answer in step 1, which was 18. And I'm going to divide it by 2. Because 5 is half of 10. 18 divided by 2 equals 9. So I know that 5% of 180 is 9. Next, I know that 5% of a number is 40, so I need to find the original whole number. Here are my steps to success. Firstly, double the end answer to find 10%. So my end answer is this number here. Now, when I double, it means that I need to multiply it by 2. So that's nice and easy. 4 times 2 equals 8. 0 times 2 equals 0. Okay, so 40 times 2 equals 80. Next, step 2. Multiply the answer in step 1, so that's 80. And I need to multiply it by 10. So multiply it by 10. And again, that's really easy. I'm going to write 80, and then I'm going to place another 0 at the end because we're multiplying it by 10 and 10 has 1 0. And now I'm going to check that it makes sense. So remember that this number needs to be greater than 40. Let's see. And 800 is greater than 40. So that makes sense. Do you remember that percent means parts per 100? So if we have 63%, it means that's 63 parts out of 100. As a fraction, it's written 63 hundredths. And as you can see on the 100 square, we have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 61, 62, 63. Now let's take a look at fractions, which is something that we've done a little while ago. So to find any equivalent fraction or percentage, we need to convert the fractions to hundredths, because as we know, percent means parts per 100 or out of 100. Now to do this, we will need to either multiply or divide. So let's take a look at this fraction. We have 5/20ths, and we now need to convert it to hundredths. Our first step is to find how many times you need to multiply or divide the denominator, to get 100. So what do I need to do to got 5/20ths? My denominator is Is it the bottom or is it the top number? Tell me. Good, it's the bottom number. So 20, what do I need to do to 20 to get 100? Is my number getting bigger or is my number getting smaller? Good, it's getting bigger, so I know that I need to multiply. I know that I can multiply 20 by 5 to get 100. Great. So I found that. Now my next step, whatever you do to the denominator, you must do to the numerator. So I know that I've multiplied my denominator by 5, so I now need to multiply my numerator by 5. So 5 times 5 equals 25. So the equivalent of 5/20 is 25 hundredths. Fantastic. Next, 2/5 equals how many hundredths? Can you read out the first step for me? Good. So what must I do to 5 to get 100? Can you tell me? Excellent. We've got to multiply that by 20. We're multiplying 5 by 20. Now, can you read out the second step for me? Okay, so I've multiplied my denominator by what? Good, 20. So now I'm multiplying my numerator by 20 as well. 2 times 20 equals 40. So the equivalent of 2/5 is 40 hundredths. Well done. Now let's take a look at this. We have 63 hundredths, but we need to convert them and we need to find the equivalent fraction to hundredths. What do you notice about the denominator here? So we're starting with 300, but we need to go to 100. Are we going to be multiplying or dividing? Is it getting bigger or is it getting smaller? Good, it's getting smaller. So are we going to multiply or divide? You're right, absolutely, we're going to divide. So let's read that first step. Number 1, find how many times you multiply or divide the denominator to get 100. So we're starting with 300 and we need to get to 100. What must I do to 300? Yeah, I need to divide it by 3. Absolutely. So that's my first step. And now my second step, whatever you do to the denominator, you need to do to the numerator. So what did I do to the denominator? I divided it by 3. So now I must do that to my numerator. You can use bus stop method if you're not sure, but this isn't so tricky. 60 divided by 3, 6 divided by 3 equals 2, 0 divided by 3 equals 0. So 63 hundredths is equal to 20 hundredths. Okay, let's see if you can now do the second one. We're starting with 52 hundredths. And we're trying to find the equivalent fraction of hundredths. What's the first step? Good, so can you tell me what you need to do to 200 to get to 100? Excellent, divide by 2. And step 2, can you read out for me? Good, tell me what to do. Well remembered, brilliant, divide by 2. 50 divided by 2, I know is 25 because half of 50 is 25. So 52 hundredths equals 25 hundredths. Great. Okay, now these fractions fractions and these equivalent percentages are things that you now need to remember or learn by heart. So if you don't, make a note so that so this will help you. What is 25% as a fraction? If you know, shout it out for me. Good, it's 1/4. Now what about 50%? Tell me. Half, you're right. How do I write half as a fraction? 1/2. Excellent. Now if we know that 25% equals 1/4, what would 75% be? Can you tell me what the numerator would be? Good, it would be 3 and the denominator 4. It would be 1/4. Excellent. So 75% equals 3/4. So with all of these fractions and percentages, we're now going to attempt to answer some word questions. Word problems. Okay. In a game, Ryan scores 80 points, but Layla scores 10% more. How many points does Layla get? So the first thing that we need to do is we need to underline our keywords. So those are words that are going to help us answer the question. In a game, Ryan scores 80 points. Okay, so we know that Ryan has 80 points, but Layla scores 10%. Okay, and I'm now going to circle the word more. Now that tells me that Layla's score is going to be greater than 80. So we are finding 10% of 80. Then we need to add the number to find Layla's score. So we need to add that 10% to Ryan's score to find Layla's score. So the first thing that I need to do is to find 10% of 80. So 10% of 80 is 80 divided by 10. So I know that 10% is 8. So I've written that there. And now I need to add this 10% to Ryan's score. So Ryan's score was 80. And if I add that 10%, then I know that Layla's score is 88. I'm now going to check my answer to make sure that it makes sense. I know that Layla's score must be greater than Ryan's. Layla's is 88 and Ryan's is 80, so that makes sense. Let's take a look at our next word problem. Manchester class wins 110 cubes one week, but they get 20% more the following week. How many did they get in the second week? So, how many cubes did they have? They had 110 cubes, right? But then they got 20% more. Okay, so my keyword is more, 110 cubes and 20%. Now my answer needs to be greater than 110 because it said that they got 20% more. So I'm finding, first of all, 20% of 110. When I found that 20% of 110, I need to remember to add it to the 110. Okay. Firstly, I need to find what 10% is because that's quite easy. So 110 divided by 10 equals, I'm going to cancel out the zeros. So 11 divided by 1 equals 11. Now I'm not looking for 10%, I'm actually looking for 20%. So let me find out how many times 10 goes into 20. So 20 divided by 10 equals 2. Great. Now I'm going to take these two answers and multiply them. So 11 multiplied by 2 equals 22. So I know that 20% of 110 equals 22. Can you remember what I need to do now? Good, I need to add it to 110 because remember my answer needs to be greater than 110 and 22 isn't. So 110 plus 22 equals 0 plus 2 equals 2, 1 plus 2 equals 3, and then 1. So 20% more than 110 is 132. And that makes sense because it's greater than 110. Fantastic. The next word question, the word problem. A recipe for bread requires 130 grams of flour, but a recipe for cupcakes needs 30% less. How much flour does the cupcake recipe need? Okay, so which strategy am I going to use, I wonder? First of all, let me take a look at the keywords. So I have 130 grams of flour, so that's how much flour there is. But this cupcake recipe needs 30% less. And I'm going to circle less. Now, does that mean that when I find 30%, am I going to add it to 130, so I have more, or am I going to subtract it from 130 so that there's less? Good, I'm going to subtract it, so I need to remember to subtract it. Okay, so the first thing that I need to do, as I always do, is find 10% because it's really easy to find 10% first. So 130 divided by 10 equals 13. That's nice and easy. Now I need to find 30%. First of all, let me find how many 10% there are in 30. So 30% divided by 10 equals 3. Okay, so I now know that I need 13 of these 3 times. So 13 multiplied by 3 equals 3 times 3 equals 9. 3 times 1 equals 3. So 39 is 30%. Okay, I'm just going to write that there to remind me. Is that the end? What do I need to do? Can you remember? Yeah, I now need to subtract this 30% from the original number, 130, from the original amount. So 130 take away 39. What's the matter? Oh, I see. You're right. Yeah, I've actually put 39 in the hundreds column, so I can't do that. I need to make sure that I line up my numbers in the right column. So let me write that again. 130 take away, and I need to put the 9 in the ones column and the 3 in the tens column. Well caught, good job. Now I can subtract. 0 take away 9, I can't do, so I need to regroup. 3 becomes 2, and now 10 take away 9 equals 1. 2 take away 3, I can't do, so I need to regroup. 1 becomes 0, and then I regroup the 1, so that's 12. Take away 3 equals 9, and I don't need to carry that down. Great. Now just let me check. I need to find how much flour I need for the cupcake recipe. I know that it's going to be 30% less, so I know that it's going to be lower than 130 grams. My answer is 91 grams. Okay, that's correct. Okay, in a year group of 80 children, 50% have brown eyes and 25% have blue eyes. The rest have green eyes. How many have green eyes? Now, what do you notice about the percentages? I could do it the way that I've been doing, where I find 10%, but that's quite long-winded. I know that 50% is half of 100. So what I can do is just divide 80 by 2 to find 50%. 80 divided by 2 equals 40. I'm going to write 50% here to remind me. And take a look at 25. 25 is 1/4 of a whole. So if I divide 80 by 4, so this is 1/4. 1/4, 8 divided by 4 equals 2. 0 divided by 4 equals 0. I know is 25%. Now I know how many have brown eyes and how many have blue eyes, and the rest have green eyes. So I can add these together. 40 plus 20 equals 60. And the rest have green eyes. So there are 80 children in total. Take away 60 equals 20. So 20 children have green eyes. Okay, let's take a look at this one. At a theatre production, there are 75 people in the audience. A steward says that exactly 50% of them came from London. Why is he wrong? Now I know that 50%, as we've said, is half. So that's quite easy. I'm going to use my bus stop method. 75 divided by 2. 7 divided by 5. 7 divided by 2 equals 3 remainder 1. So I'm going to place 3 on top of my bus stop and then regroup the 1. 15 divided by 2 equals 7 remainder 1. So that's 7 remainder 1. Now, the reason why he's wrong is because he said there are 75 people in the audience and exactly 50% of them came from London. However, can we have a remainder of a human? Can a human be a remainder? No, we need a whole. So therefore we know that it can't be exactly 50% because we wouldn't have a remainder. It would either have to be 37 people or it would either have to be 38, but we can't have a remainder. So we know that that's wrong. You can't have a part of a human. It needs to be whole. Next, in a series of tests, here are Nikki's scores. So arithmetic, we have 20 out of 25. For Pyrrha, we have 30 out of 50. For Spag, we have 10 out of 20. Which was her highest percentage and which was her lowest? So as a fraction, we're going to write her arithmetic, 20 out of 25. Now we know that percentage is out of what? What is it out of? Good, 100. So now we're finding the equivalent fractions. We did this a little bit earlier. What do I need to do to the bottom to get 100? Good. times 25 by 4, so therefore I need to do the same to the top. 20 times 4 equals 80. So we know that she got 80%, or 80 out of 100 for arithmetic. Now let's take a look at her Pyrrha. She got 30 out of 50. And again, we want to convert it to percentage, which means it's out of, tell me, good, 100. So now I need to find how many times, what do I need to do to 50 to get to 100? Multiply it by 2, excellent. So therefore, whatever I do to the top, I do to the bottom. So I'm going to multiply my numerator by 2 as well. 30 times 2 equals 60. So that's 60 out of 100, or 60%. And now her spag, 10 out of 20. We want to convert that into hundreds. So what do I need to do to 20 to get to 100? I need to multiply it by, tell me, 5, good. And the same with the number above. The numerator, I'm going to multiply that by 5. 10 times 5 equals 50. So I know as a percentage, 50 out of 100 equals 50%. Great, now I can answer the question. Which was her highest percentage? So I'm looking at the answers, and I can see that her arithmetic was her highest. And which was her lowest? It was her spag at 50%. Okay, next. Annabella had 80%. She spent 3/4 of it. How much does she have? Now, this isn't a percentage, but you're going to need to remember how to do this to answer one of the questions. So here we have 3/4 of 80. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to divide our whole by our denominator, which is 4. So 80 divided by 4 equals 8 divided by 4 equals 2. 0 divided by 4 equals 0. So our answer is 20. Now we multiply our answer by the denominator. So 20 times, by our numerator. 20 times 3 equals 60. She spent 3/4 of it. How much does she have left? Now that's how much she spent, not how much she had left. So what do we need to do now? Good, we need to subtract this amount from the amount that she started with. So 80 take away 60 equals 20. So she had £20 left. Okay, I know that that was quite tricky and a lot to get through, but you need to remember and try to work out which strategy you're going to use to answer these questions. Here are the first 3. Unpause to continue to questions 4 and 5. Here are questions 4 and 5. Unpause for the next set of questions. And these are questions 5 and 6. If you'd like to do an extension, unpause for the next 3. Okay, so how did you do? Let's take a look at the answers. Number 1 is £17.50p. Number 2 is 396 millilitres. Number 3 is half of 31 is 15.5, and you can't have half of a child. Number 4 is 27 votes. Number 5 is test A was 50%, test B was 80%, and test C was 75%, and 5B was test B. Number 6 was 7, and number 7 was 40%. Here are the answers to the extension. 25% equals 8.25, and one child needs to be a whole number. Number 9, 70 more children. And number 10, 594 millilitres. So how did you do? I hope you enjoyed that lesson, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a good afternoon. Bye.